really interesting about your kind of the intro kind of talking about HR and HR policies is there's a from a personal perspective, what HR professionals tend to do is they kind of like to build up that wall, and kind of say, okay, so I have to separate the emotion from whatever else may be going on in the workplace. The expectation is that I am here to, of course, support the business. And having that knowledge, I think, is one that is useful from a partnership perspective, really. But beyond that, there aren't too many, I think, opportunities to be able to. That was a good response.
That was from the other side of the curtain.
That was a good response.
See, we're about to get,
and so being able to kind of apply that in the ability to be able to help an organization to move forward. That's really been the best part of my experience in HR.
So what, as you're and now you're moving into consulting, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah. So taking the culmination of all of that experience, 15 plus, almost 16 plus years, and being able to apply it to help organizations to achieve people prominence. And really it revolves around that ideal that people are going to fulfill your expectation of them if they are as comfortable as possible. One of the biggest things, my experience, right, by building up that wall has been the loss of kind of really who I was, and so rediscovering that, and kind of realizing, wait a second, hold on. If I'm happy and I'm comfortable with now what I'm doing, how many other people could benefit from that?
Right.
And going back and helping organizations to kind of create that type of environment. The biggest aspect that I have found in the work that I've done is managers. So either if you have like a brand new manager who really is not completely and totally understanding of what it is that they need to do, but they themselves aren't grounded, they themselves don't have an awareness of who they are and what their strengths are, that they tend to get nervous, they themselves throw up these walls, you start to see stress reactions out of them, and that's where the rest of the fun, the compliance stuff, right, that HR spends a lot of their time kind of working through, coming from. But if you can apply those basics, right, into an environment, okay, the awareness part of that, and then supplying tools to those managers, there's a possibility that could lessen that capability of a compliance issue. It opens up, what I've seen is it opens up communication. It opens up, really this dialogue between manager and team member. It helps to level set those expectations. So that way then the team member understands what it is that they need to achieve on. And they'll understand at the end of the year, right, when performance stuff comes around, that okay, either I'm going to make it or I'm not.
Right.
But I think the full piece of it is the team dynamics aspect, where okay, so if you're building a team, why not get the people on the team who have the right skills? Right. Many times, teams are kind of haphazardly put together, or even better, right. You have one person who tends to be a high performer. And what you'll end up doing is that person, unfortunately, is put on all the committees or all the teams. Right. And so
get Rob, he'll do it. Yeah.
And it can lead to burnout. First of all, of those people.
Well, it is leading to burnout.
It totally is.
We see 57%.
It totally.
What recently just came out of people who have the surveys that have come out that they're feeling burnout. That's why they're leaving. Yeah,
and also you have misfits, right? The misalignments is what I'll call it.
Yeah.
And so
I like that, misfits.
Yeah, misfits, misaligned.
They're not bad employees. They're misaligned.
Yeah, they're misaligned.
Yeah.
Because the manager chose somebody who they looked at the skills and abilities, but they didn't look at the overall, human capability. They didn't look at all the strengths that person innately walked into the job with or walked into the interview with.
Yeah.
So if you can uncover those, right, you can uncover those through, the interview process, and really give the manager those tools to be able to step back and say, okay, so if I bring, and here's a really cool thing, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so you and I, we both bring special strengths to the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these will interact and dialogue with each other, which is perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a third person who walks up, and maybe you've experienced this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're sitting there, you're having a great conversation with somebody, laughing, carrying on, or even achieving the goal of a conversation. A third person walks up, and the dynamics shift,
Mm-hmm.
right? And either the conversation stops, drops off, or you completely and totally get off track.
Yeah.
And the new person is going to inject a different dynamic to that team. Well, that's exactly what's happening with our teams,
Mm.
especially now when you've got a big grouping of people who are on the search for a new job for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Either they're not being challenged, they're burned out, or really overall they generalistically feel like they can get a better deal by going somewhere else. They can be treated better.
Mm-hmm.
They can be appreciated more. They can be
Mm-hmm.
recognized for their efforts. They won't be put on so many committees or teams,
Right.
work teams. And there's a whole litany of reasons, right? But the overall genesis of it is they're trying to find something better. They're trying to find an environment where their skills and strengths can be applied a little bit more readily,
Mm-hmm.
from that perspective. So overall, if you have the ability to be able to step back and kind of look at all of those dynamics and take all of that into consideration, yeah, I truthfully believe that through the work again that
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with, you can definitely achieve that people prominence, which again is gonna help your organization to be an employer of
Mm-hmm.
choice. And I know that's old terminology, but it's the best wording that we
Yeah.
have still to date from that perspective.